Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our rapidly growing YouTube channel, that is called Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and joining me is our director of football recruiting, Dina King. It is National Signing Day, North Carolina's class of 2022. The kids are sending in their signed letters of intent, and as each one comes in, Dina and I are rolling out a quick little discussion on each one of those kids. And the most recent one she's sending a signed letter of intent is Conor Harrell, a three-star quarterback from Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama, the number 10 dual threat quarterback in America, the number 29 overall prospect at Alabama, 6'1", 190 pounds, committed July 4th. You and I had a chance to see him up close at the Showtime camp in June, and we both just loved everything about this kid. Clearly the staff does as well. That's why they wrote him hard. And there were interesting discussions there at that camp about, hey, am I committing now or in a few days? What's going to happen here? And go ahead and announce on July 4th. I think that we could sort of sense that night that he was going to be a Tar Heel. Now, officially and formally, Conor Harrell is a Tar Heel. So what are your thoughts about Conor Harrell?
One big word for me describing him as a winner, back-to-back state champions at Thompson High School, who plays at the highest level in Alabama, 7A. Like you said, he did get injured against Hoover in a game that they lost, but he came back later in the playoffs and they got their revenge on Hoover, and he led them to another state championship. Each week, it was like video game numbers for Conor. He always had a good game. It never failed. He didn't have a bad game all year. Just put up tremendous stats. His accuracy level is just extremely high. I believe it's in the 70s. And, you know, when a quarterback can throw it like that, that's really impressive. Big time yards, several touchdown passes. I believe he hit over 50 touchdown passes. So they're getting a gunslinger type kid that's mobile. We've seen him make all the passes and throws at Showtime, and I know why Coach Longo wanted him. I mean, he looks like a perfect guy in that whatever his offense that he calls
air raid, yeah.
Air raid and everything. So you know, he has a unique story. When he came up to that Showtime camp living in Alabama, they drove all night to get up there to Chapel Hill. And then, you know, we thought he was going to commit because they were out there talking a lot, and we stayed around to the very last till they basically had to send us out of the indoor facility. But later on that day, they went on and went up to Michigan. He toured Michigan, but he came back, decided on the 4th that he wanted to be a Tar Heel, and now he's officially signed, and he's gonna make that quarterback room really interesting because he's got a lot of talent.
Couple things about him. Number one, the 70% completion percentage. Let's remember, and you've seen a ton more high school football than I have, and than most people. That means you're really accurate, because a lot of those kids aren't going to always catch throws from a college arm. So he's really getting the ball in the right spot for kids to make plays. The second thing is, I kind of think of him as a slightly taller version of Sam Howell. There's a lot of Sam Howell in his game. He runs, he's tough. He's a guy that can make the tough play. He can make all the throws. He reads well. He throws wide really well. A lot of young quarterbacks don't throw wide really well. And that was one of the things that kind of jumped out at me as well when he kind of reminded me a little bit of Criswell, but a little bit more of Sam when we were watching him at the Showtime camp.
Yeah, he showed off his abilities. Like I said, showed a little bit of leadership ability coming back off an injury and helping his team win another state championship. And, you know, Alabama football 7A, I mean, you playing some really good competition there. And so his numbers are not padded by playing smaller, more weaker competition. It's against the top competition in Alabama.
Not to go deep into a conversation about ratings, because in the sense ratings really don't matter, especially now when the kids have signed. But do you think the injury kind of kept him from maybe getting a 4-star because he was so prolific? He was on a high-profile team. They're nationally ranked. A lot of eyeballs. I mean, you look at some of their games, a lot of people watching games, a lot of people paying attention to Thompson High School. I think the injury may have kept him from getting that 4-star.
It might. I mean, he's on a very talented team that's loaded. They've got several other high-profile players that have committed to major Power 5 conferences. Teams. So, they may look at it that, he's throwing it to some really good receivers and everything. So, it's just the rankings is kind of out of our control. So we stay in our lane.
Stay in our lane, exactly. But sometimes it does have an effect. And the reason I asked you is because a lot of people are going to ask us. So now they don't have to send us the text, the DM, the tweet, the Facebook friend request, and then ask the question 5 minutes later about Conor Harrell, which does happen, by the way. Conor Harrell is the latest member of Carolina's class of 2022 to send in his signed letter of intent. He's a 3-star quarterback from Alabama. Big time player here that Dina has been in love with for a long time. So I trust her. So I guess from an observer standpoint, I guess I'm in love with him too, right? No, not really. Anyway, she's Dina. I'm AJ. As more kids roll their commitment, signed letters of intents into North Carolina, we're going to continue discussing each one of them throughout the course of the day. So we appreciate you guys stopping by, and come back later on because there are more to come. Thanks.